Hey, what's up, security world? It's Courtney Sparkman over at OfficerReports.com. I spend a lot of time talking to CEOs of security guard companies who've had past lives in law enforcement. And it really amazes me how well a lot of them make that transition from LEO to CEO. We'll talk to one of those CEOs today. All right, so Nelson, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
A little bit about myself. I am, I started this business with 360 Protective Solutions. Just hit our 1 year anniversary this month. Prior to that, I'm coming from just over 21 years of law enforcement experience with the New York City Police Department, where I've served in several capacities, from patrol to Detective Bureau and the Warrant Division, over to the Intelligence Bureau with the Executive Protection Unit. So I've been doing that for just over 21 years. And then prior to that, I have a military background with the United States Marine Corps, where I served 12 years. 12 years or 11 months. No, I'm sorry. Yeah. 11 years, 11 years, 9 months, and like 22 days, but who's counting? But yeah, so I learned a great deal through that, through that experience. I served in the infantry, did that for a few years, and I switched over to special operations, where I served as a reconnaissance Marine. And then after that, did a couple of tours in Iraq, where I served with some great individuals, not just only in the Marine Corps, but through other different branches of the service within the U.S. community, and also global. We serve with a lot of international partners, military partners, and it was a privilege to serve with each and every one of them.
Wow, I mean, there's a lot there that I would like to unpack, but first, let me start off by saying thank you for your service. That's first and foremost. I know you've seen some things that a lot of people haven't, so again, thank you for that. But tell me, what's the transition like going from, 20 years on the job to, starting your own security guard company? What was that like?
Well, it was quite an adjustment, and I simply say that because while I was serving with the NYPD, I had the privilege to work. Uh, I did do some side work working with a couple of dignitaries and ultra high net worth individuals. When I was doing that, I quickly realized that just because my, not so much my work ethic, but my belief with interacting with clients or interacting with principals is very different in the government sector as opposed to the private sector. I learned that very quickly. I did not make the mistake, however, by doing it myself. I noticed other individuals or other team members that were making those mistakes, and I made those notes to myself. I was like, I am not going to make those mistakes. I'm going to treat this a little bit differently. One, in the government sector, they can just reassign you. The private sector, they'll just fire you. So that's the big difference. That's what I took from that. And I said, you know what? I need to concentrate on my soft skills development, which is something that is somewhat practiced in the government sector, because there is respect, there is there is that collaboration and cooperation between team members, the family office, the royal court, if you will, and the principals themselves. But in the private sector, it's a lot more eggshelly. Like, you walk in on eggshells, you have to be a lot more careful, and you have to know your audience. You always have to know your audience, but you specifically have to be very careful what you say around them, even if it's within earshot. You have to be very careful. So that is one of the biggest things that I took, going from the government sector to the private sector.
So you mentioned soft skills. So I know a lot of security guard company owners who struggle with that portion of being an owner, right? So operationally, experts, right? But when it comes down to soft skills like networking, sales, they have challenges bridging that divide. How do you go about doing that?
Well, to bridge the divide, I I took some courses. I am a firm believer of always learning something new. Just because you've been in, you've had a good experience, a great background, and it doesn't make you the expert. I think that an expert learner is the best approach to anything, especially when you're building a business, when you're building a model, especially when it comes to this kind of work, because you're dealing with, again, ultra high net worth individuals and diplomats and just clients. Any client, I treat every client as if they were an ultra high net worth individual in my eyes, and that I think that you can't go wrong with that. So that right there, you are establishing and you're establishing a psychological respect. Having that psychological respect, I'm already seeing you as gold. I don't care where you come from, whatever you're seeking our services, we're going to give you customer service. So that right there is the precursor to what I'm about to say, because the soft skills development, learning how to speak. You have to speak in a certain way. Again, engaging, knowing your audience, engaging them in a certain way where you have respect, but you're also firm and confident in what you're saying. And having been a member of several teams, I quickly learned that that is a very, that is very vital, if you want to keep your position, if you want to continue to work in that environment. So one thing that I thought about was, okay, well, the way that I'm going to learn is I'm going to start taking these courses. So I started following you. I started following a couple of other individuals. Byron Rogers is a beast when it comes to to marketing and what he's doing. So I started looking at him a couple of years ago. I was like, you know what? I liked what I was hearing. He made it sound as if and I told this to a lot of team members while I was with the police department. I was like, wow, you should listen to this guy. This guy sounds like he's one of us. Like he should be in this room right now having a conversation about what we're going to do next, because he fits so well. And I was like, wow, I've been doing this for a very long time, and it's not even a Marine Corps thing at this point. At this point, it's like, the game, like, it very well. We're speaking the same language. I want to know more. Like, I want to know a little bit more about the soft skills. So he had this approach that I was like, you know what? I need to look more into this. So then from there, I just, I started applying some of those, my own skills with the skills that I acquired through through Byron Rogers' program. And, from there, I was like, wow, this is really working. I'm using it in the private sector. And I tell you what, it made a big change. I changed the way that my client viewed me, because I wasn't the only executive protection agent that she had. She had previous ones, but there was always some sort of falling out, some sort of disagreement. And when I came on board, for some reason she resisted me, but I don't know what it was. Um, but after taking this course, she was more open to my suggestions. She would ask for my feedback, which is something that she never did. And even my the team leader, or even the owner would be like, wow, what did you say to her, because she's actually she's very receptive to what you have to say or what I have to say. So like, she's really open to ideas now. What did you do? And I'll be honest, I did keep it to myself, but it was really that. It was just taking these courses and just opening myself.
So you've talked a lot about like EP, right? Executive protection work. So is that what 360 Protective does, or do you guys do just EP, or what's your solution mix? I mean, what do you guys do?
It started as executive protection only. Um, but as I quickly realized, there is a there is a great need for security officers in general, in all walks, in in the city. It's huge, especially when the pandemic hit. I didn't I wasn't doing my research then because I was operating with the police department, so it was a little different. But I did notice right after that we had a lot of looting, a lot of businesses went down. There was a lot of property damage. Companies, they lost business. Some of them went bankrupt. And you're talking about Madison Avenue, Fifth Avenue. These are like high quality pedestrian areas, tourist attractions. So I realized, after I started thinking, I was like, well, executive protection it's great and all, but I think I need to extend my the services. And I started, I sat down with my team and we discussed it at length. And, we decided that, what, we need to start opening up we need to start providing services for executive, I'm sorry, for security, for unarmed and armed security. And that's what really, that I started, putting everything together, and that's where we are right now. So our company right now, we provide, as executive and close protection. We also provide armed and unarmed security, whether it's uniformed or whether it's plain clothes, business attire, whatever, what have you. And we just recently added cybersecurity and fire protection. So we added that. So that's what I've been doing. That's what we've been doing. In addition, we also have a training division where we focus on situational awareness and active shooter protocol.
That's actually a really good product mix. I mean, we could talk about all six of those things at one time. So, but rewinding a little bit, right? As you're starting to say, okay, we're going to grow our product mix. How are you going out to try to find new people to network with, talk with about these new services and your company?
Well, a lot of it is through networking and Salesforce. Networking and Salesforce. If it's something that I can provide as advice, would be those two: professional networks, word of mouth, and Salesforce. So going into the network part of it, trying to engage yourself with other business leaders, other businesses, whether it's BOMA, what is it, Building Owners Management Agency or association. With the, we just got involved we just became corporate members with the New York Greater Chamber of Commerce, or the New York City Chamber of Commerce, which has more than 30,000 businesses in the New York City area. So we we speak to them, we collaborate with them. So that's, we do these mixers, whether they're on, we're just going back into the traditional, in-person networking, whereas before we were just doing it through, through video conferencing. So we start with that. We put our name out there. We also do the word of mouth, because I do come from a law enforcement agency. Word of mouth already hit that, already hit that department. I was I actually started my business while I was still in the agency. I started doing that, because I kind of wanted to kick it off right before I left, when I decided I was going to retire from the community. So I started that. So that was a great help. That was a great facilitator as far as getting the word out with that. And then as far as Salesforce, following other individuals like Joe Russell. Joe Russell was, he's been very instrumental in the success of this company and the growth of this company, and I thank him very much as well for that.
Yeah, Joe's a phenomenal guy, right? I mean, I've known Joe.
Joe is phenomenal, phenom, whatever you want to call it. He's a go-getter, and he has a wealth. He has a tremendous a wealth of experience, and he's given me some huge insights. And one of the main focuses when I first started the company was Salesforce. So I started getting into Salesforce. For those who don't know what Salesforce is it's a software. It's a software program where you can put your clients, you can input all your clients' especially if you have a client list, you input all your clients in there, and you generate your templates, and then you send out emails to those clients, and it just makes it facilitates the way of communicating through digital means, and it's very responsive. It is it's a very good tool. I highly recommend it.
So Joe and I are actually going to do kind of a top 10 reasons to use platforms like Salesforce, which are CRMs or customer relationship management platforms. They're incredibly important to most small companies, big companies, large companies, and not enough people are using it. So I'm really happy to hear that you are using a CRM. But
Absolutely.
where I became familiar with you was on LinkedIn. So how are you using social media in your strategy of networking?
I can say you have following you and seeing you since even before I started the company over a year ago. I can say that you have some of the best quality videos, and they're very engaging. Um, it could be 1 o'clock in the morning, and I can watch your videos, and I can say, wow, I watched the full length, whether it's a 2 minute video, whether it's a 30-minute video, whatever it is. You have me engaged, not only because I'm looking for information, but because it's very, it's very entertaining at the same time. So you keep me engaged. So, and it's a great thing that one of the videos that you had that really sparked my attention was the video editing. You had a video editing video that you created, and you were working collaboration with another expert.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining me for my Managing Editor Live webinar on how to boost your engagement on LinkedIn. Since we're talking about video, let's kill this PowerPoint presentation and do some video.
And I took that. I took that to heart. I was like, wow, like really, and not only that, but it's budget friendly, and as you and I discussed before, it's fun. I do most of the content myself, most of the editing myself, and I tell you what, it's fun. It's fun, I love making videos. I've had other people, whether I met them through linked or other platforms, or just word of mouth. Oh, hey, you're that link guy. You're the guy always doing those link videos 360, right? And I'm like, well, whatever it is, it's working. And they're like, wow, that's pretty good videos. That's really good. I just recently added a video not too long ago we're working on a project right now. It's a big project. So I put that video out, I believe it was like last week, and it took me a couple of hours, but it was fun making it. And it was all thanks to that video that you created. I followed your word, and the word of the other expert that was working in collaboration with you. I took took your guys' advice, and I did that, and I'm so glad I did.
You are a natural at it too. I mean, I've checked out some of your videos and I'm like, how long has he been doing this? 15 years, 20 years? You put out some really good content. But the thing that I hear most people talk most about when they talk about starting videos is, oh my God, I am so scared to be in front of the camera. I mean, was that the same for you? How did you get over it if you did? I mean, tell me about that.
I'm gonna disclosure right here. So I have a YouTube. I started a YouTube page, and if you really want to see the rise from my first video to my most recent video, go to the YouTube page under 360 Protective Solutions, and you'll see my first video. I was a little bit nervous. Even though I had experience with public speaking as a shooting survivor, I've acquired a tremendous amount of experience from the Marine Corps and from law enforcement. Having been on that side of the turmoil. So I've been an advocate in speaking, when it comes to gun violence, when it comes to, and especially with the law enforcement community. Like, I've been to the police academy, I've spoken to recruits, hundreds of recruits at any given time, and talk about how to survive a gun shooting, how to survive your job, after the fact, how to be able to reacclimate yourself with the community, reacclimate yourself with your family, because it does take a turn. And so doing that and being passionate about it, is very important. And I think when you keep that in mind, it's what motivates me to be able to engage in camera and put the message across. Because one, I believe in my company. I believe in 360 Protective Solutions. I believe in the team. And I also, and I believe you got to believe in your own product. And I totally believe in my services. I believe in the product. I believe in the name. I believe what it stands for. And when you put all that into perspective, it's not a problem to see at the camera, to speak in front of a large audience, as long as you know that you believe in it and you're very passionate about it. So my best advice is make sure you're passionate when you appear before a camera. So that's what helped me out a lot.
Wow, no, that's a great answer. So it's about the passion for you. So we talk about 360. Let's put marketing aside for a while. So you talked about being passionate about your company. What is it about 360 Protective that makes you so passionate? What makes you guys different from, other companies out there that are offering similar services?
Well, I think besides the passion, everyone has a different level of passion, and especially small businesses, they're on the rise, they're growing. They're all very passionate and very intimate about their own, of what their potential, what they can do. I'm one of those, and I believe that one of the many things that we can provide is we can provide, and I'm sure everyone has heard this before. You've heard this before. We can provide great services with firsthand customer service, and that is one thing that we firmly believe in. In the Marine Corps, we have two statements. We have or two missions. We have mission accomplishment and troop welfare. And I'll say this, and hopefully the Marine Corps will not spank me on this, but uh, I firmly believe that troop welfare is it's the number one thing. You have to take care of your guys first. You have to take care of your team. You have to take care of your employees, everyone that works, everyone that works with you, everyone that works with your company. So in order for that to be, if you do that, mission will be accomplished, because everyone's going to be motivated, everyone's going to be willing, everyone's going to, they're going to have some level of passion to make sure that the job gets done. Why? Because they're being taken care of. So I am a firm believer that that is one thing that we can offer that I believe other companies may or may not offer. Um, Especially the bigger conglomerates, the bigger companies, they may have tens of thousands of employees. But really, where's the connection? Or, how distant are you from your employee? Whatever, from your new employee to, how can you motivate that person to progress, to move on, to grow in that company? One thing that we do with our employees is we promote personal and professional development. So if the person is trying to grow, needs to expand, needs to build on, even if they want to leave the company, even if they want to do that, that's fine. But our goal is to make sure that when you come into this company, when you come and join our family, and you decide to leave, you decide to, you think you've grown up and you want to move on, you're going to grow up and you're going to leave, but you're going to leave in a much better position than you did when you first came in. And that is one thing that I wholeheartedly believe. Whether it's you need help with a resume, you need help building an interview, you need help with these things, we'll be more than happy to do that. And that's one of the training modules that we provide.
So I tell that to security guard company owners that I talk to all the time, right? When they start comparing themselves to the Allied Universals of the world, the Garters of the world, it's not a fair comparison. First, they've got a lot more employees, a lot more resources, But at the same time, you guys, the smaller companies, have the ability to really connect with your customers, right? Because if there's going to be a problem, customer picks up the phone. I'm pretty sure they're not going to reach the CEO of Allied Universal if there's a problem, right? But if there's a problem with one of your guys, they reach you on the phone. So I mean that's there's always a benefit of being a smaller company. So I don't look down on smaller companies at all. I think it's a benefit. But as a smaller company, right, someone who's very passionate about their company, as you run into challenges, right? Because you talked a little bit about challenges, overcoming obstacles. What's one of the biggest challenges that you've had to overcome in your company?
The most challenging aspect for us so far has been the recruitment, trying to get the qualified people to become part of our family, part of our personnel, um, to, you know, just going into the amount of interviews that's been conducted. We've had a lot of recruiting interviews, and very skillful people, level-headed people, the people that I would want to take in a heartbeat. Because for us, and I'm sure you would agree, and as most other industry leaders would agree, de-escalation, de-escalation, de-escalation. If you can de-escalate a situation, if you because we put part of our question, it would be on de-escalation. What kind of de-escalation abilities you have. Give me an example of what kind of de-escalation of an incident that you required de-escalation from you. Or if you work with a team, how did that turn out? So that has been a that's a key question, or a key component for us to determine whether or not you would be a good fit for our company and for our clients. So a lot of these guys do have that capability. They do have that ability. However, a lot of them don't have the credentials. I'm like, oh, okay, well, it's unfortunate, because we do have some sort of requirements and governance that we have to abide by. So we appoint them in the right direction, get this done, go to this place, blah, 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 get it done. Once you have it done, come and visit us again, come contact us, and we'll go forward from there. And then we can move on with that. So I think to us right now, that has been the biggest challenge um, so far, because I'll tell you what, clients are starting to come in now. This COVID is pretty much our rear view mirror. It's on the rear view mirror now, so people are starting to get back into the swing of things, and so business are slowly starting to come back up. So I think the business is not so much the issue. I just think it's trying to get people come back to work, has been the challenge that I've noticed thus far.
And it's just not you, right? So most of the people that I'm talking to right now in the industry, actually this industry and every other industry, it's people are struggling to find people, right? And especially in markets like New York, LA, San Francisco, you have upward pressure on your wage rates. So that doesn't help either. So there are a lot of challenges around hiring. So if there was somebody who's going to start a company tomorrow, right? What advice would you give them to try to make their road a little easier?
Research, research, research. It's funny you asked that question, Courtney, because as a matter of fact, I was speaking to another friend of mine who I used to work with, who's thinking about starting their own company, not in the same industry, different industry. So we were and asked me the same exact question: how would you start it up? How would you set it up? And so I told him, I was like, well, it's not that difficult. The formation of a business is not that very difficult, but you have to do your research your industry, know everything there is to know about it, especially if you don't know much about it to begin with. Do the research for the area that you plan on providing those kind of services for, or the products that you're planning on intending to sell. Do it by rings, do it by local, do it county, go regional, and then for us, it would be the tri-state area, and then the United States. And then if you can, go to the world, like see, how much in demand, how high demand this product or this service is, and go back 5 years, see how it's changed over the course of 72 months. And and just see, what is going to make your product or your service different from everyone else. What kind of secret sauce or what kind of ingredient do you have that you can add to your label, to your company? And then how passionate are you to do that? Passion is a big thing, and everything else you're going to learn. Get yourself get yourself involved in a network of other professionals that can contribute, can give you some very good professional advice, some business advice on how to promote it, how to, but even before how to promote it, like how to organize it, and what exactly is it that you're selling, and how can you make it easy for other people to find you and understand what you're actually trying to do. So if you can set the right message, I think that right there is going to be a very good start. So that is the best advice. I mean, I can go on and on about this, but this is the best quick advice I can give you. I mean,
That's
forming a business, it's not that difficult. I found it not to be as difficult.
All right, that's an excellent piece of advice, and I don't think I've ever heard anybody give that particular piece. So let me ask you one thing that I like to ask everybody. Is there a customer or a client out there that you would absolutely love to work with, have as a client? And if so, who would that be?
I don't have one. And as I pointed out before, as I said before, I treat everyone as if they were a CEO, as if they were an ultra high net worth individual. It doesn't matter. So it could be, you could be a gazillionaire, or you could be a startup individual that decides that you need that extra protection, extra layer of security. I'm going to treat you the same. So I have no one in particular.
I love that answer. Treat everybody the same.
Exactly.
Perfect. So, if there are people out there who want to get in contact with you about your company or about your training, about services, where can they find you?
Well, you can find me real simple. There's several ways. If you go to www.360protectivesolutions.com, it'll go right into our website. It'll show you the services that we provide, the training that we offer. We have a contact page. If you need to reach out to us, you can subscribe to our page as well. We're also on LinkedIn. We have 360 Protective Solutions on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram as of now. We have that. I also have my personal page, Nelson Vergara, on LinkedIn. So you can always reach out through those means if you have any questions, or you can always call 347-450-2021. And you'll reach out to us at any time. Thank
Perfect.
you very much for having me, Courtney. I appreciate it. It's an honor.
Hey, no, the honor is all mine, and I'm big fan of yours now. I'm like, look at Mr. Video Guy. Perfect.
There we go.
Hey, thanks
Thank
again,
you.
Nelson. It's been a pleasure. Stay safe, and we'll talk soon.
I appreciate it. Likewise, Courtney. Thank you so much.